I'm joined here today by the one, the only Cody Stamann to take on Merab Dvalishvili coming up real soon in, of course, December. Thanks so much for joining me, Cody. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for asking. Let's hop right into it, man. You've got this fight coming up in December. Were you disappointed at all not to be competing on the famous, of course, Fight Island that's currently happening this month?
Absolutely not. I live in Las Vegas, so fighting in my backyard is a lot easier for me than fighting in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, that's a big flight, big time change. It's just so easy when things are here. I don't have to fly anyone out. Logistically, it just makes so much more sense for me to fight in Las Vegas.
I assume the convenience, though, on top of the fact that you don't have to travel as much, I assume maybe you might have to do less quarantining as well. Like, it really sounds like it's that much more convenient for you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, I can now.
All right, there we go. I was just saying, with fighting in Las Vegas, it's got to be easier too, right? Especially with the travel, things like your weight cut and stuff like that. Like the convenience must be unmatched.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but having the PI here and having to being able to utilize that resource, it's so much better. I mean, in every single aspect. Uh, Doing it here, not only that, I fight and I go right back to my house. It's real easy. I don't have to quarantine. I don't have to go through all that bullshit. It makes the whole process so much smoother.
And so, how far away are you from the PI and all that stuff?
Like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, super convenient. Where were you before? Like, you just moved to Vegas?
I've lived here for about a year, but before Vegas, I lived in Michigan.
That's right. Okay, Michigan. I mean, what's the difference now living in Las Vegas? Like, I assume everything must be that much easier, like you mentioned with the PI and just especially everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas, there's never a shortage of good guys to train. Um, Obviously, utilizing the PI and just being here with everything, it was a heaven sent. I fought here one time since I've lived here, and um, you know, fighting here, it's like you have a home field advantage. And I really like all the guys I train with out here. I like the atmosphere. Everybody is kind of, it's like a dog eat dog atmosphere, and there's not a lot of like good friends in the gym, but that's a good thing almost because it makes everything a lot more competitive. You're trying to kill each other every day, and that's kind of the atmosphere you need to be successful as an MMA fighter for sure.
So I assume, of course, with moving over to Las Vegas, you had to have sort of a switch in your coaching, a switch in your gym, and stuff like that. How was that switch for you?
That was the hard part. I left a lot of really good coaches back in Michigan, people that I really care about personally. But I felt like for the longevity of my career, I needed the PI. I needed to do the PT. I needed to be held accountable for those things, and I needed to have a better schedule. I needed to be around people that were training all day, just like me. So, uh, there was definitely a transition period. Where I kind of was just floating around before I really found the coaches and people that I like to work with. But now, I mean, like I said, I'm just surrounded by a bunch of like-minded people who just want to get shit done and want to be really, really good at fighting. So, I have every resource I need to, be successful. Now it's just not on me.
So how tough was it making that switch? 'Cause I assume you have to announce to your team that you're leaving and stuff like that. How'd that conversation go? We know some guys they're good about understanding people need to leave. How was that kind of switch for you?
I mean, that's a hard conversation. Like I said, these are people I care about personally. These are people that are really close to me. People I see every single day. It was really hard telling everyone I was leaving. And it it almost it's almost a bittersweet thing. Like I think some people were happy for me, and other people, never forgive me for leaving. So, but ultimately, I'm the one that has to get in the cage. I'm the one that sacrificed my body and my mind for this shit. If anybody doesn't like the decisions I'm making, I hope they voice their opinion. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I always have to do what I have to do to be the best athlete I can be. I mean, fuck. I mean, you only get one shot at this shit. You got to turn over everything in your power to be the absolute best version of yourself on fight night.
And so, speaking of the switch to Vegas, obviously with the PI, how did that change your weight cut? Because I know they have a lot of guys that I guess measure your body fat, things like that, do your dieting. How was that switch weight cut wise for you?
Oh yeah, they're really good about the weight cut routine. I had a really good routine before. I was doing things science based, but now everything's so much more dialed in. You know, I'm doing weight checks every week. They make my meals for me. I know exactly what I need to eat. It just takes all the guesswork out of it. You know what I mean? I don't have to go 9 different places. You know, everything's in one place. I go to 2 gyms. It's just easier. It's just easier as an athlete to live out here. And, you know, I have huge weight cuts. I have to lose a ton of weight. You know, I'm a big guy at 35. So, you know, having that is an absolute, you know, priceless resource to me. You know, it's like having a benefit package, you know, through the UFC. And I use it to the best that I can.
And so you are, of course, taking on Merab next. He's a guy who's got a lot of hype and stuff like that. What was your reaction when your management or whomever came to you and told you that was the next fight you were taking?
Initially, I was like, fuck that. I'm not fighting Merab.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, why do I got to fight Merab? You know, I know he's a nightmare. You know, I don't think he had that much clout. But I was wrong. You know, Merab does have a lot of clout. A lot of people think he's kind of like the next big thing, the guy, because he's been running through people. And, you know, I kind of have that role right now in the UFC as kind of the gatekeeper in this division. You know, you give me a young, up-and-coming stud, and, you know, there's a good chance I'm going to shut his career down. I've seen this fight play out a million times. You know, a good base. Stylistically, when I really, really break the shit down, I'm a fucking nightmare for him. Absolute nightmare. Any guy that's big as me and as physical as me that can wrestle and can strike, you know, that's absolutely the recipe to beating this guy, you know, and being in great shape. You know, this is the kid's no cake. I mean, he goes in there like a dog with fleas or something when he fights. That's literally what I see him as. Like, that's literally, I feel like I'm literally training to like fight a fucking dog that's foaming at its mouth right now. You know, so I gotta be ready for a real fight. I mean, real fucking proper fight. You know, Merab and I are gonna beat the shit out of each other, and at the end of the night, either he's gonna be snoring face down, or, you know, it's just gonna be me getting my hand raised again.
And so with all these things that you mentioned, like the rabies and the stuff like that, does it make the fight that much more exciting for you? Like, does it make it even more fun for you?
Fuck yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I said, at first it was like, man, I'm not fighting that motherfucker. Like, that guy's nuts.
Yeah.
But, you know, then I started watching film on him. I took a couple days. I talked to my coaches. I talked to my wrestling coach back home, and he was like, dude, you can wrestle with this guy. And I was like, yeah, I can wrestle with this guy. And the fact that people think he's like, you know, this maniac that no one's going to be able to beat, that shit fucking drives me nuts. So, absolutely, you know, I got in this sport to fight the absolute best guys in the world. You know, I think Merab is one of those guys. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to preparing and kicking his ass December 5th.
All right, and one last question. We'll let you go. Kind of an obvious one, but how do you see yourself getting your hand raised on December 5th?
Well, I mean, obviously I got to defend takedowns. And if I can do that, I mean, shit, he's I mean, I think out of all guys I fought, the least technical guy on his feet. Maybe the best wrestler, but definitely the worst stand-up guy. Probably the best gas tank, too. You know, so I got to be in shape. I've got to stop takedowns, and I got to crack this motherfucker. And I really think, of all the guys I've watched, he is the most hittable fighter I've seen in the cage. And I think I can knock him out. I mean, you know, there's a million things that can happen in a fight, but chances are he's going to mess up. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to get off balance, and I'm going to smoke him. And it's going to be on the next one.
All right, well, there we go. Thank you so much for the time, Cody. I really appreciate it. We look forward to this fight. It's going to be a very fun one.
All right. Thanks, brother.